And welcome everybody to week 11 and the blue versus green show. As most of you guys might know, my name is Gabe. I'll be your host for this episode. I'll be quarterbacking this one. And I'm joined alongside my face with Walt and Jose. So interesting week that we have kind of experienced, as both Giants and Jets have played at this point. I don't know if there was a choke job versus a hanging, but before we get into it, let's remind everybody to please like, rate, share, and subscribe. Truly appreciate you guys for returning. If you guys are returning to the show, and for those of you guys that are new, welcome to the show. Make sure you hit that subscribe and the notify button so that you guys can get notified as soon as we drop our episodes. So we are going to start. Well, let's a super quick recap. Giants win 31-19, and then the Jets unfortunately falter at 6-32 against the Bills. But we're gonna go ahead and get started with the Giants. Quick impressions, a little 1-minute rant on you guys. What did you guys think about the Giants? And I'll follow you guys. Who wants to go first?
All right, I'll go ahead and go first. I'll go first. The Giants showing some signs of life.
By the way, for everybody, you might see me sipping out of this cup. There's a little bit of celebratory, sake that I'm drinking a little bit right now.
A little bit of victory juice. What are you drinking that for, Walt? There's nothing to drink for unless you want to drink yourself to death.
That's exactly
where it is.
Yeah.
Giants fans should be happy today. Like that's my thoughts, right? Giants fans should be happy today. You saw something from the offense. Saquon Barkley did well. Tommy DeVito did something that hasn't been done by a Giants quarterback in a while. He had 3 touchdowns today. Y'all just have the Commanders' number, though. But, I mean, y'all didn't beat the Commanders this badly earlier in the year, but that's like 6 or so something straight victories. It's a few, right? 5 or 6 victories straight.
Yeah, we've been wrecking them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have one of the worst pass defenses in the league, but it doesn't matter. 3 touchdowns is 3 touchdowns. It was a great game. The offense did well. The defense was giving Sam Howell nightmares all day. And it was a glimmer of hope. The Dable and Saquon Barkley and the team were talking about not giving up, and there's still being joy in the locker room and all that. Some stuff that we talked about early in the week.
Yeah.
And they put it out on the field. It's as simple as that. And they got a good win. Walt?
I was rooting for Tommy DeVito.
Oh my God,
Gabe's not rooting for that nickname.
Tommy TD, touchdown Tommy. How about that?
What is it about these unknown quarterback backups that are with crazy, not crazy nicknames, but they happen to have like kind of cool nicknames? I get Mike F and White and Tommy TD.
Jeez. Tommy TD, that's the man. Listen, I was rooting for him because he's a Jersey kid. You know what I'm saying? Still at home. His mom making up his bed. He's eating chicken parm all the time.
I wonder if the team took him out to dinner after that game instead of
chicken parm dinner.
Or maybe they went to his mom's house and had chicken parm.
He's got a deli that made a sandwich in his honor, right?
Yeah.
Basic ass sandwich. We decided.
I thought the sandwich was already on the menu, and it was coming out that was the Tommy DeVito sandwich. I thought it was already like a thing.
I'm pretty sure
it was just an Italian sub, right?
No, it's a chicken parm.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
one way or the other, it's going to be a cliche.
So I was rooting for the kid. He had a rough start. Barkley had a rough start. It was a pretty competitive in the sense that each team wanted to give the victory away to the other team, right? And finally, the Giants kind of said, "You know what? Screw it. I'll just take it. If you don't want it, I'll have it." Right?
Yeah.
But Tommy DeVito did show something. He's. I'm not saying that he's the guy that you make your franchise quarterback, but you got a little something there. You got a backup. At the very least, you got a backup. You got a capable backup. That's the most important thing to say. You have a capable backup, whether it's Jones next year, whether you draft a Caleb Williams or the May kid. I forgot what his first name is.
Drake May, right?
Drake May, right? Exactly. At least that in terms of backup quarterback, you got that covered, because I think Tommy DeVito has kind of shown you enough, right? And he's getting better every week, which is important in this league, right? We can talk about another kid in New York and
We'll
that
leave that for later.
maybe, yeah,
Leave that for later.
maybe
There's going to be
never
plenty of
quite
time
Don't
for
even
that.
put the innuendo
But-
out there yet. Let's just focus on the Giants.
right. So, a good Giants victory, a bad Giants victory, because now that kind of hurts
It's not-
in the draft. Listen.
Hey,
man.
no,
It's
I'm
saying,
listening.
right?
That's why I shut
You
up.
could trade for some capital.
That's
Get a
like-
Marvin Harrison Jr. still.
So there is that, but you know what? You can't say nothing but positive things from a Giant victory, and that's the bottom line, right? The bottom line is you want to win in this league, and
I mean,
that's what the
there's some
Giants
negative
did.
things for sure.
So there he goes.
Yeah.
Go for it, Gabe.
All right. So for me, definitely, like, I'm a little bit elated, and I want to say that I don't know why I'm this elated, but I do. It's because it's been so long since we've won. I haven't really experienced. I've only experienced 2 wins this season, and I don't remember them. So the win is nice, and again, what I liked was that it wasn't a skin of my teeth kind of win. It wasn't a we got lucky kind of win. It is a we won despite how terrible of an O-line that we have. So and I want to get into that stuff a little bit later, but my general overall takeaways from the game is that Tommy DeVito, he's at least a legit backup quarterback. He definitely has. You could tell that he moves like a rookie a little bit. He kind of looks like a rookie in certain areas and stuff like that. And I think that that's okay. Rookies are allowed to look like rookies and so on and so forth. But with the one takeaway that I don't think anybody really talked about that anyway that I've seen is the one thing that was kind of surprising, refreshing, and alarming all at the same time is how much passion he actually showed on the field, which, considering Danny Jones and then previously 15, 16 years of Eli Manning, not really seeing like that emotional passion when something goes wrong, like cursing and stuff like that. When something goes right, like being jubilant and all that, you don't see like the ups and downs on passion. And I say alarming because I didn't realize how much, I kind of want to see that. I didn't, maybe because I haven't seen that in ever, with Eli Manning and then Daniel Jones. I was like, oh, I don't need that. But then seeing, I almost called him Danny DeVito again, seeing Tommy DeVito, like, pumping his fist, getting mad when the O-line doesn't get ready to snap the ball and stuff, and like cursing when something doesn't go right, being fired up, kind of being East Coast. I was in Tommy's corner, but I'm a fan now. I like him, and I want to see him. I want to see him do well. So that was my main major takeaway. Aside from that, the O-line was absolutely horrendous. He got sacked 9 times. I can't believe that they almost broke their own record that they just set once again this season. But let's get into the game. Good, bad, ugly. What did you guys think was good? What was bad? What was ugly? What was the worst thing that you saw in the game? Tell me what's up.
The good, the ability for the Giants to actually understand what an offensive adjustment was early in the game and make it when they were seeing cover 2 all over the place and everything underneath was covered and all DeVito could do was go underneath. They decided to actually open up and make some throws down the field. Like, was it that great touchdown to Slayton? Or no, the first touchdown was to Barkley, I think, right?
It was the first shot. It was a wheel route to Barkley, a perfect shot. Finally using Barkley like a receiver, what they intended on trying to do. For DJ.
I think that was him eating on cover 2 for like them actually saying like, hey, we have some holes in this defense that we can take advantage of.
Yeah.
And doing something about it, and a quarterback that's able to do something about it. But like, quick commentary on that. And the kid's just too young to care about getting sacked that many times, man. Like, he's just
true,
tough and brave, and like that's shit. That's Daniel Jones a few years ago, before he got annihilated and demoralized by being hit every damn, all day, every day. So there was good out of that, but
I want to stay on that
still
point on
scary.
the good. I want to stay on the point on the good
Mhm.
with the offense specifically. So
Mhm.
I had noted to you guys in the group chat that I thought that the play calling felt different to me. And then it turns out later on that we're seeing Dable with the play sheet. The commentators are kind of pointing mainly to Dable being like scheming. At least that's what I got from the commentary, that Dable schemed against this defense amazingly. And then, in conjunction with Kafka, I think that this is just another case of Dable kind of taking over most of the play calling, or giving the suggestions to Kafka, or overruling Kafka when he needed to overrule him. But the play calling from the beginning to the end felt different. It's not like the play calling in the Cardinals game where it went from I believe it was the Cardinals game, right? Where the first half was Kafka, and then the second half it was very clearly Dable, and it was night and day. This seemed like that second half the entire game. Ballsy, creative, fun.
Testing for weaknesses,
Yeah,
right?
testing. It looked like preseason, to be honest with you. And I think that
A little
is,
bit.
everybody says that this is how the Giants are treating them. So what did you guys feel about that? Do you guys think that there was a true takeover of the play calling, or is that just me in my eyes wishing that that's what I saw?
Was it a takeover? Gee, I don't know if it was a takeover. I think it was a greater influence, because it was definitely different.
Yeah. Well, any thoughts? I mean,
Well, we do have Dable on record after the game saying that he did not take over play calling. But again, of course, coaches do lie, right?
we know Dable lies,
don't they?
We know Dable very specifically lies.
Yeah. I think it's kind of what Jose's kind of intimating. I think it's not him maybe taking over, but maybe kind of influencing, kind of pushing it, kind of telling Kafka, hey, you know what? Maybe let's try this one.
Like, you want to call this play, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right?
It's like, yeah, you might want to do this one. You might want to take a look at this. You know what I'm saying?
I have a theory.
Like going back to school. 3rd and 2.
What
do we do on this?
Theory.
Yeah.
Well, my theory is that I think Dable, because he's, it's him and Shane. I think Dable already made the decision. They know that he's not coming back, and they're trying to make sure that they are not, I guess, throwing him under the bus so that he can get a job elsewhere after the season. He's always going to be like, oh, that was all Kafka. That was all Kafka. But I'm pretty sure that he's just not coming back. There's just too much evidence, like you can see Dable, looking at the play sheet, then covering his mouth and making calls. It's on video. It's on the screen. Even if it's like a suggestion to Kafka or whatever, we can see that he's not trusting Kafka completely. So my thought is that as far as the press conference stuff, my thought is that he's not trusting Kafka, and he's just trying to save face, not throw anybody under the bus.
But it could also be too. It may also be just Tommy DeVito having a greater understanding of the offense. I mean, now he's this was his second start, but his third time playing. And he does look like a kid. Yeah. He does look like a kid that is really, really, really taking advantage of the opportunity. So it could also be the fact that, he really sat down with the playbook and just went through it,
he did his homework. He did his job.
Exactly. And whenever you have a good understanding of the offense just generally looks better, So it could be that also. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it's not that Kafka is odd man out here, but I'm just saying there could be other factors as well.
It's also the really bad pass defense of the Commanders.
Yeah,
but again,
helps.
3 touchdowns.
It helps.
Isn't easy no matter what.
Like having really bad defense. It's one of those things. What are the good teams supposed to do? Beat the bad teams.
Yeah,
right. It's like, oh, you have a really bad defense. I'm going to exploit every single thing that you're doing bad. And if he's doing that to them, then kudos on him. That he's showing that he can do that. Now you just gotta be able to rise above and do that to the good teams. So there's where you can close the gap. Now another thing that was really, really good. More than just good, the defense today. Now, we spoke about the Commanders kind of seemingly wanting to give this game away, but honestly, the defense took this game away from them. The defense, there was 6 full takeaways, I believe it was 4 fumbles and 2 interceptions.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, especially the late one that completely iced the game, where they gave him a shot.
Bobby Simmons.
Was it? Yeah, it was. But it was. I think it was.
Right?
Okereke was the biggest threat on defense. I think that he was just punching out balls like he's a boxer. I had joked that like he has a backup career as a boxer. But Walt, you being kind of the defense guy, is there anything that you saw that was kind of new, different, or was this just a really bad offensive output by the Commanders?
Well,
Was it the defense coming up, or was it the Commanders coming down?
I'm not going to say that it's a bad offensive performance, because you know what, Sam Howell has shown that he's a pretty decent quarterback. I mean, going into this game, he was leading the league in yards thrown. So, we're not talking about a bad offensive team here.
Yeah.
I think what it is that this is Wink Martindale and that defense kind of confusing Sam Howell. You know what I'm saying?
Blitz packages all day. I feel
right,
like
exactly. When you're doing that to a youngish quarterback, and that's what Sam Howell is, right? He's still learning the ropes. I think a lot of these blitz packages, like Jose said, a lot of these different fronts was kind of confusing to him. And plus, again, the most important part is that the Giants were flying to the ball and actively trying to take the ball out, which is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? And you can have cases where that works against you, and we can talk about that later with the Jets, right? But seriously, you can have a very overly aggressive defense, and if you don't get that punch out, then bad things happen.
Yeah.
So the Giants they were very fortunate that everything kind of fell their way. And, to be honest, the Commanders kind of helped them along with it also. But I think the defense played really, really well. And it's just kind of a continuation of how that defense has progressed over time this season.
Yeah, the defense did well. It played with the energy that I remember commenting that they didn't have earlier in the season, when they weren't wrapping up tackles, when they weren't making things happen. The offense played with a similar energy, like talking about like the joy again that Saquon Barkley talked about in practices this past week. You saw the team actually going out there and having fun and saying like, fuck it, like let's put everything out on the field and do the best that we can, and like try to make aggressive plays, but like play within ourselves, right? That term that they always use. They played within their limits, but also stretch them as far as they could. And they had three fumbles, or they had 4 fumbles and got 3 back or something like that, right? And then
there were 4 fumbles, 3 of them were recovered, and then they had two interceptions. Yeah,
right. And but like Walt said, and like I mentioned also, like it was the young quarterback thing. Like Howell's done well, but the Giants are also number 4, number 5 in terms of how often they blitz in games. Right. So like that was the perfect game plan for a quarterback like Sam Howell today, even though he's a solid quarterback. So it wasn't, a particularly bad performance by the Commanders. It wasn't necessarily a particularly great performance by the Giants defense, but it was a great game plan. So, I mean, everything really, really worked out very, very well for the team. And
we can also say objectively so, Ron Rivera is a terrible coach.
Yeah.
So, that also kind of, is in the equation here. He is definitely not going to be here next year for the Commanders. I think that's
it's interesting. I don't necessarily know that I don't know enough to say that myself, just because I'm looking at the stat lines over here, and I just want to do a quick correction. It was 4 fumbles, but 3 of them were recovered, but it was 3 interceptions. Total of 6 turnovers by the defense. So I would say that was a great play by the defense. But here's the one thing.
Well,
the Commanders only had 1 penalty in the entire game. And I've been on record saying that, when it comes down to a lot of those pre-snap penalties and a lot of the other, disciplinary penalties on the Jets side, when we get there, we'll talk about it more. But I've been saying that that's all coaching. And looking at these stats, I mean, Washington Commanders, they had more total yards, more passing yards, more rushing yards by a bit, 174 to 91. And you know, only one penalty. It was just the defense really took it away from them, to be honest. So I will say that, you know, going into the bad, not that there was a lot of bad, but there was a lot of ugly, and I want to go right into the ugly, which is the O-line, I think. But let's not kid ourselves. If we did not have 6 turnovers, we would not have that many opportunities to score, and this could have very easily been a 14-19 loss. You know,
the other thing is, like, very quickly before you get into the ugly, like, it was in the sense the kind of the bad was, it was more of a skin of your teeth game than maybe you remember from earlier, because the Commanders were in Giants territory before they threw that interception, down by 5 points.
Right.
There was a possibility that they could have lost that game.
That's why I'm saying that this is the defense that the defense took it away from the Commanders. So we were in the lead, but I was definitely clenching my butt and all that. So, by the way, if you guys see the camera shaking a lot, it's because Hina has now discovered that she is a dog and she loves to play fetch, and now she wants to keep bringing me this thing so I can throw it to her.
Okay.
So
there she goes. Bit of history in that game.
Can she catch a ball? We could use her.
Oh yeah, she can. Not a ball, but she can catch like her favorite toy, which she's gonna bring to me once again.
Get back to us if she can catch a football.
But the ugly. Okay?
Yes.
That O-line, and you know, because I want to move on to the Jets. We definitely got a whole lot more to talk about the Jets, but that O-line was atrocious. Honestly, I thought that the O-line was worse in this game than even in that game that you know, they allowed 11 sacks, even though they only allowed 9 sacks in this one. I think we just happened to get a little bit lucky, you know, on some of the game, a little bit of the game and stuff. But 9 sacks, I think it was 6 in the first quarter alone.
Yes.
That's insane. That is insanity. You know, I don't know how you're supposed to. How is anybody supposed to survive more than a few games if you're getting sacked that much?
He's already been sacked.
If we do not fix this,
more than 20 times, I think, right?
Huh?
He's already been sacked more than 20 times, I think.
Yeah, I think it's 24 or something like that. You know what I mean? It's insane because, you know, we're gonna be down to our 4th. All right, get out of here already. Go over there. We're gonna get to our 4th quarterback if we're not careful. And the other thing too, about pointing to you, the toughness of DeVito is not always a good thing. I don't like how he runs.
No,
he's not that big of a guy. He doesn't have that much body on him, and when he runs, he doesn't really slide. He takes beatings, and I'm really afraid that something like what happened to Mike White is going to happen to him, as I call him, the Giants.
Tough.
He's young and he's young and dumb, and not that I'm not going to mention that other thing from that song lyric, but like, like he's going to get himself hurt.
Young, dumb, and full of parm.
Yeah, you know, full of chicken parm. So, but yeah, that was just to like piggyback off that real quick. There's not much else to say about how bad it was, but like I think it was definitely worse than the Seahawks, where you all got sacked 11 times, right? Because the Seahawks are actually
the Seahawks were on hey, we need to get right game.
Oh yeah, I mean, but the Seahawks have a fantastic like pass rush. I think they're like number 4 or 5 in the league in terms of sacks this year. Whereas the Commanders aren't bad, but they're somewhere in the middle of the road, and they still got 9 sacks. You know, and a couple of those were the inexperience of DeVito, but like he did pretty well with his poise and stepping up in the pocket when he needed to and getting rid of the ball for the most part, except for a couple of instances where he held on to it too long. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
It's also important to note that this is the Commanders without Montez Sweat. This is the Commanders without Chase Young, and they still were able to get to the Giants, Tommy DeVito at 9+ sacks, right?
That's true.
That's true.
And just a little bit of history: the Commanders, the first team to have 9+ sacks in the game and lose by double digits. So, you know,
it's a fun season.
Interesting thing. But yeah, that offensive line is objectively horrible. You know, I mean, we've said it how many times? Week 11, I think we've said it 10 times.
Yeah, this is bad. This is really, really bad.
That's something that definitely needs to be addressed. I mean, I I kind of think that when we start getting into draft talk, it's got to be offensive line, offensive line, offensive line.
They've
Maybe
done
the
that
first.
for years.
Yeah,
How do
but
they
they
solve
got to
this?
figure. Listen,
Yeah.
at some point, a broken clock is right. It's twice a day, right? So
Is
they
it?
got to.
It's been like
gotta
20 years since the Giants had
They
an offensive
gotta
line.
be able to get somebody. You know what? Maybe you don't go through the draft. Maybe you kind of try and outbid somebody in free agency, but that offensive line has to be addressed, because if you're taking quarterback first round, which it seems like that kind of seems like the way the Giants are going to go, you got to have somebody to protect him, because otherwise, what are you doing? You're just doing the same mistakes that you've done in the past, and it's just going to continue. And listen, whenever that next quarterback comes, we're all going to be having the same conversation. Well, now this time it's 10 sacks. Now this time it's 7 sacks.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I
they're
mean,
going to
that's
have to do
absolutely
something
true.
about that. They're
I
going to
would
have
like to see us, instead of, to be honest with you, I would like to see us, because we've been drafting O line for so long and still missing. I would like to see us just kind of hit a little bit more of a reset in it, so to speak, or not a reset, but like let's try a different route. Let's look for some mercenaries. I think Pugh was I think it's been a hit. He's been good. I think he's a little long in the tooth, but I think that might be the way that we should go. Kind of get a bunch of veterans in there so that we can kind of get out of here. Get a bunch of veterans in there so that we can slowly draft O-line that can learn from these veterans, as opposed to trying to coach up these draftees and stuff.
But you really hope. I mean, I don't know what the hell else is going to work.
Yeah, I mean, the drafting hasn't. So, anything else that needs to be said about the Giants game?
They won.
And
congratulations.
That's
fucking awesome.
There's
31 points.
Hey, listen.
Second time this year, right? 31 points, I think. They did that against the
Just
Cardinals.
think of it this way: the first win by a New York football team in November this year.
Oh my God!
Hopefully not the last, but we'll see.
One. So,
wow, you guys go into the Jets. The segue. It's almost a perfect segue, or not. We're going from the positive to the negative. We go from a win to a loss. The Jets faltering to the Bills, 32-6, and it was not pretty. It was a very, very difficult game to watch. It was, to me, and you know what? I'll go ahead and start with my quick little points. To me, it wasn't pretty. I mean, to anyone, I don't think for anyone it was pretty at all. But it wasn't pretty because of the Jets' play. It wasn't pretty because of the injuries happening. It definitely wasn't pretty because of the breaking down of the Jets team and their players, and it wasn't pretty even sounding because the commentators very, very much so did not seem like they even wanted to be there. And it was tough to watch the game, and it was equally as difficult to listen to the game. There's plenty of us to get into with all that, but that's my take. It's just that it was not pretty from beginning to end, all the way through, whether you're watching it or listening to it. And I will leave it to you guys to vent, if you will. So I think Walt very much wants to vent first.
Go ahead, Walt. Yeah, you look like you're about to pop. Let it out.
So I've been watching this Jet team since.
Hold on.
Since before I was born.
Hold on, bro. You already sound like it's a eulogy.
Because
isn't it?
It is. I mean, yes, technically, there is a chance. But listen,
the Dolphins. When do the Dolphins play? Are they playing?
No. Friday. You guys play on
Friday.
They beat the Raiders today. So
yeah. So the Jets, as it stands right now in the conference, they are the third worst team. Okay, the only teams that are worse than them in the AFC right now are the Titans and the Patriots. Okay. Yes, there is a chance that they can make it into the playoffs, but honestly, with everything that we've seen so far, there's a part of me that thinks they can't even win another game this year. You know what I'm saying?
No,
And,
I don't think that that's true. Come on,
well,
man.
but let's look at the teams that they're going to play. They're going to play the Texans pretty soon. They're going to play the Dolphins twice, right? They still have to play the Patriots again. They have to play the Commanders. I mean, seriously, if you look at the state of the team the way it is right now, can you confidently with any, just say that they can win any of those games?
There's
The
only
Texans are a much harder out than they were from the beginning. You know what I'm
one
saying?
game
One
against the
game.
Falcons, maybe.
I'll give you when
Right.
we're let's go through our points and rants real quick in a bit, but I mean right now, but I'll give you my thoughts on actually why I do kind of agree with you there. To be honest with you, now that I think about it, yeah, I kind of agree with you.
Yeah,
But yeah, let's
not a
There's no
the
easy
way
outs.
the way the Jets are playing right now, that you can't. I don't even think they can go into a mid-major college football stadium and beat those teams the way they're playing right now. You know what I'm saying?
at least not the way they play tonight.
The defense, you can tell that they're frustrated. You know what I'm saying? And right now with the defense, the way that they're playing right now is not. That's that stuff like this was going to happen because you look at the way that they're tackling. They're not tackling fundamentally. Why? Because they're trying to punch the ball out. Why? Because they're trying to make a play on defense. Why? Because their offense sucks. So the defense right now is playing as if they were the offense. They are trying to score on every play. And when you have a defense that plays like that, you're going to have the big mistakes like that 81-yard touchdown that they gave up. I don't even know the Bills player that caught that because he's like a third string guy. You know what I'm saying? So, everything that happens on the offense is now affecting everything that happens on the defense. This defense, when Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be here, was a defense that was going to be able to go in and with Aaron Rodgers providing a lead, be able to pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. That was the mandate. That's what the defense was supposed to do with Aaron Rodgers here. Right now, what they're trying to do is they're trying to win games because their offense can't even get a fucking first down. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there are problems with the offense. Yeah, I think Zach is done. And yeah, I don't think they win another game this year because you know what? From what we've seen so far, why would you even think that?
Well, Jose, do you think that they're going to win a game?
I think they need to fire Nathaniel Hackett. I think it's the first thing they need to do.
And it's never going to happen.
It's not going to happen because Aaron Rodgers probably isn't going to allow that. I don't know if he's going to be the adult in the room and allow us to fire his shitty offensive coach.
I would just go ahead and piss Aaron Rodgers off and say, you know what? Fuck it. Hackett hasn't done anything to that merits him staying here. Get rid of him.
Yeah. I mean, he already signed the contract. Like, if he wants to void it, I guess, like, go the fuck ahead. But he already signed the contract. I say fire the man. Hackett is an awful, awful offensive coach. I don't know how many times I saw him spamming fucking verticals again on cover 4 when it was clearly cover 4. When there's two cornerbacks like 10 yards off the damn line and 2 deep safeties. Any human being on earth that knows anything about football knows it's cover 4 and would try to get something underneath, try to throw a slant, try something different. Hackett doesn't want to do any of that. So fire Hackett. The Zach Wilson era is over, no matter what I thought about it, because this year, as soon as you bench that kid, that was it. Doesn't matter when you benched him, that's over. I'm not saying how I feel about that one way or the other right now. Tim Boyle was just as bad, if not worse. I mean, he had 2.4 yards per attempt. He had a lower quarterback rating. He got sacked just about as many times. He held onto the ball too often. Nobody was blocking for him. A couple of decent catches. Okay, great. And the defense did what the defense does every week, but the frustration is clearly starting to show. I mean, that's my thoughts for now. Let's just get into it in greater detail.
All right. So let's talk about obviously the not so big elephant in the room. We've been talking about this for a while. So it's Zach Wilson, and not just Zach Wilson, but the quarterback position. You just said that Tim Boyle did worse. He did, by stat numbers, he absolutely did. But So I want to talk a little bit. This is going to kind of lead into the point that I want to make, but I think that the reason that they may not win another game this season is because I think that the locker room is indeed lost. I think that in this game, I thought it was lost in this game. We saw all the frustrations, all the emotion and stuff like that. That's because I think that a lot of a lot of those on defense, a lot of those on offense, I think the whole defense, they've just about had it with not trying something different. And I think putting Tim Boyle in when they did was a little too late. And the players already kind of gave up. So, I think, the stats, again, are better for Zach in this game than Tim. But I think that Tim was playing. He didn't get he got a worse hand dealt to him when he's playing with the entire team that just doesn't seem to want to play this game anymore. The things that I liked about Tim is that he's able to get rid of the ball quickly, that he's, that he's able to get rid of the ball, I think, correctly. Even though he got sacked, and I think there was an interception as well. He did get sacked, right? I believe he got
10-yard sack. 10-yard hold the ball too long sack.
Yeah, and I think he threw what, 2 picks? Did he throw 2 picks?
He only threw 1, but
he only threw
it was
one.
that almost pick that almost made me
right. So like on that sack,
and then it happened like
sack, now that I'm recalling,
a few plays later.
The broadcast did show that there wasn't a single person that he could throw to.
There never is though on this damn team. I mean, except for a couple of instances where there's somebody underneath. And
so that's the thing. So that's what I want to say, right? Because real quick, we can't say that there never is when the reason Zach got pulled out is because he got sacked on a very easy play that was designed for a simple throw right before Tim Boyle came in. And the reason he was brought in was because of that sack, because it was, hey, the play is right there, and that would have been a first down right there. So I think we already know where we lie. I'm pretty sure you've been wanting Tim Boyle for weeks now, Walt.
I know
on Tim Boyle's play.
It's not that I wanted Tim Boyle specifically, because quite honestly, I don't want Tim Boyle starting next week. I want Trevor Siemian starting. I think Trevor Siemian gives the Jets a better chance. He may not be the best quarterback, but he's the most experienced quarterback. That's
I would have wanted to see Siemian.
Not. Yeah. So I, the only reason I wanted Tim Boyle in is because we needed a change of pace. And what I felt was that Tim Boyle offered at least a semblance of a better quarterback that could read a defense. And so I'm gonna say a couple of things, and I'm gonna throw it out to you guys, okay? Because this is where I feel that this is where Zach is lacking. You know what I'm saying? I've already said that Zach is not a good processor. He is not a quick processor. He's a guy that needs to see it to be able to throw it. He's not a guy that'll throw it and then see it afterwards, right? And what is the things that the really good quarterbacks do? They throw in anticipation. Zach does not do that. So yes, we're looking at tapes and saying, you know what? There was nobody for him to throw open, right? But you know what? Most of the time when you're playing an NFL team, there aren't very many open opportunities. What happens is that a quarterback throws with anticipation to a point where then the wide receiver goes and gets it. And that's not what's happening here, because what Zach is doing, again, and you see it when it comes to him holding on to this ball, he holds on to it in hopes that he sees somebody open. That's not how you're supposed to play quarterback. That's not how quarterbacks work.
I actually never really thought about that, but I do want to make a note real quick before letting you continue. Gary Wilson did not have a good game.
He did not. His worst game as a professional.
Yeah,
but he was also slightly injured. So
he's had a couple of games like this season. He even mentioned it in the post game. He was like, you know what? My ball security has kind of been exposed this season. This is something that I have to work on. And that's his words, right? But going back to the whole thing about the offense and stuff like that, and again, we do realize that there are issues in terms of the offensive line, the talent on the wide receivers, the fact that the running backs can't get open because, they're stacking the line because they have no respect to this pass game. But again, I think you've got to start taking a look at that quarterback position and say, you know what, Zach is not throwing with anticipation. Zach is not throwing with authority. Zach is not throwing with confidence, and that kind of trickles down the whole way, because what happens is you're coming in. Zach is going into the huddle. He's saying, how many times have we seen the play clock go down to like 5 seconds or less with Zach Wilson underneath the center, right? That those are things that affect how you run a play, and it also affects the timing of things, right? And then you're having Zach drop back with these 3 to 5 step drops. First of all, the offensive line can't handle that much time, and second of all, when Zach throws with quickness, he's throwing with anticipation. The problem is Zach doesn't do that often enough because he does not trust himself. And so when he's trying to throw, he's waiting for these guys to get open. That doesn't happen in an NFL game very often. You've got to throw these guys open, and he does not do that consistently. So then now you're throwing it, he's zipping these balls into these tight spots, right? Because you know what? I've held the ball already too long. I got to get rid of it quickly. And the he's throwing these 105 mile per hour fastballs to a guy that's 5 feet away from him. So all of this is kind of blending into the fact that you're having this anemic type offense. And I hate to say it, when Tim Boyle got into the game, there was a different flow. Now, yes, he did not play well, right? But he's also the backup. He wasn't taken second in the first round of a draft. Okay. So you're gonna anticipate that he's gonna have some growing pains, especially coming in, not playing with the first team offense, not having any familiarity with the players. You saw how many times that he had to reach up for a ball when the ball was snapped to him. So yes, but the thing about it is that, and the damning thing about it is that when Tim Boyle was in, this actually looked like an offense. Okay, so that's the thing that I have a problem with the whole Zach is still good. Zach, let's look at the one play in the entire game because you know what? I'm done with it.
I mean, I think we're all done with it. Even Jose's done with it, even though we might all be done with it for different reasons. I do want to ask Jose a question, but before that, real quick, it did just kind of occur to me. Zach had 15 attempts, and Boyle had 14 or 16? 14?
14, I think.
14 attempts.
Yeah.
However, Tim played a quarter and a half. Yeah. He came in the third quarter or the fourth quarter?
The fourth. Mid. No, didn't he come mid third?
No, he came into the fourth quarter.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure. So no, you're right. Sorry,
mid third quarter. It was mid third
quarter, right? All right. So
yeah.
So there is that needs to be kind of said. Tim had even less, time on the field and was able to kind of almost
last drive of the fourth quarter.
Right.
Was he was put in there.
And the thing about it also, and then I'll stop my ranting on that.
Oh yeah, I had a question I wanted to ask.
Okay, but I'll make
no. Go on. Finish. Why don't you finish your thought?
Tim Boyle came into a game that was what? Was it 22-6 or 29-6 at the time, or whatever? What do you think was going to happen? Did you not think that the defense was going to know that he was going to throw the ball? I mean, these are all the things.
Yeah, it's incomparable circumstances.
Right,
incomparable.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, whatever. It is what it is.
The question that I have for Jose is that you made a comment in the group chat that it'd be kind of cool if you took like screenshots of these comments. Actually, now that I think about it, it would be kind of cool if we had screenshots so that we can kind of talk about like our chats in the podcast. You had said that it doesn't matter what quarterback we put in there with this offense, ain't nobody doing anything. You've said it already in the past, a couple times, but after Tim Boyle came in, he completed he made a couple of plays, and then it just immediately devolved into the same old Jets once again. And in your mind, it confirms that it doesn't matter what quarterback is behind this offense. So then I ask you, what do you do next then? Because what's the reason you have Aaron Rodgers if it doesn't matter? You know, if it doesn't matter what quarterback you put in, then what does it matter that you have Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers will tell you, hey, I need Nathaniel Hackett. I need these guys that I brought in here. But, you know, are you willing to give Aaron Rodgers another shot with this offense?
What the hell else can you do? You already paid the man. I mean, there's really not a choice that we have other than to go ahead and give Aaron Rodgers a thought and an eye next season. Honestly, at this point, if the man wants to play at the end of the year, we're not making the fucking playoffs. He wants to do it just to play. By all means, get on the field.
So stupid.
By all means, get on the field. It would be incredibly stupid, but like, who gives a shit really at this point? You know, I mean, there's so many issues with this offense that don't center around the quarterback. And again, I know that the offense looked differently to y'all, but like the first thing that happened was Breece Hall actually had a positive fucking gain as soon as like Tim Boyle was in the game. He got a 14-yard run. The only good run he busted all game. A little bit later, Izzy Abanikanda came in and actually had a snap and had an 11-yard run. So, you know what? When the running back actually gets his first decent run of the game, you might actually be able to open up the offense a little bit. But whatever, it doesn't matter.
But real quick, this can kind of go to the point that Walt's been trying to make, that just changing the QB can change how the other players around him play.
I mean, I don't know that a single run play when it's already approaching garbage time, when they're already putting in their bench QB. Okay, like it was a little smart maybe, but like again, I don't see anybody else doing much better with this offense. I don't see anybody winning any games. I mean, you can still say the same shit if you ask me. You put Trevor Siemian in there, the Jets are still going to win against maybe the Falcons.
But that's my issue with the benching. I think the benching was way too late.
I think it was too late. I think same thing.
Yeah, you should have done this when the game was still hanging in the balance. And quite frankly, to be honest, at 9-0, that already felt insurmountable. You know what I'm saying?
You should have benched him when he tripped on himself, when he sacked himself again.
Then he threw the interception on that play, right? That was the same.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You should, as soon as he sacked himself, you should have benched him just to save that interception. Joking. Let's not forget
that's real life.
Out of all three quarterbacks that quarterback tonight, the best quarterback was the kicker.
Yeah, maybe you make Thomas Morstead QB1. You know, and the best tackle was done by Robert Saleh.
Oh, hey, and let's not forget that Eccles caught a pass today for whatever fucking reason. We put in.
It's just the state of the Jets.
He had one of the best catches too.
Yeah, I mean, look, I really don't want to
cornerback
pile on the way that social media and everyone else is piling on Zach Wilson. I think that it's not so much that I hate the kid. It's just that I don't think that it just works. And I think that this all comes down to coaching still. This is all coaching. Yeah. I think that personally, pointing to leave him in there too late, that's the same exact thing as Zach Wilson holding onto the ball too long. He's holding onto Zach on the field too long. Exactly. And I think personally that he's losing the team, or he has lost the team. Remember that the players, it was Garrett Wilson that organized this players only meeting, not the coach. And it was because why? Because they feel like, get out of here. I'm making a really important point. Go.
But that's why they call it a players only meeting.
Right. I understand that. But a player shouldn't have to call it though, right? That should be what I'm saying is not saying that a player shouldn't call it, but it shouldn't have gone to the point where the players got to call it because the coaches are not doing their job to fix it. And that's my point.
I guess, but
I don't know. I mean, I think that's subjective. I think you can get something out of a players meeting. I just don't think that they got shit out of this players meeting, obviously, because whatever they did was probably just a lot of solidarity and not really talking about what needed to be done. Maybe.
I mean,
it's hey, I love you guys, but no game planning, no saying, hey, why don't you try to do this to, I don't know. I don't know what tips the players are going to give each other other than a pat on the back. But
I think what it does is it holds everybody accountable.
The Raiders just kind of did it, right?
Right. Exactly.
They did it to their coach, but you can have. I guess I'm sorry to cut you off, but you can have an effective meeting where the players take control and do something with it The Raiders did it. The Jets just didn't.
Absolutely. You can hold people accountable, and these player meetings are never, oh, you did this or you did that or you did that. They don't finger point. That's not how these player meetings work, right? But by the same token, you could say, you know what, as a unit, these are the things we need to work on. As a unit, this is how we have to kind of unify ourselves. As a unit, this is how we communicate on the field. Those are things that are effective when you're talking about a players meeting. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It just I struggle with this because you're starting to see the fractures in this team.
Yeah.
You saw
We've seen
Gardner.
the fractures, I think, a little earlier, right? This is where
but now
yeah, I mean, we saw some of these fractures in
the
first half.
You're seeing it. Now it's becoming visible because you saw Sauce Gardner's audition for the WWE. Right,
that was a dope German suplex.
Yeah, he's stronger than I thought, dude. I knew he was strong, but damn, like he just
bam, right over.
Flung, and Diggs is not a big man, but still, like that's not easy to do to an adult.
A belly to back suplex is extremely difficult to do.
It's not. I've tried to do it.
I wonder if he wrestled at all, like in high school or college or anything. I mean, not college.
He doesn't look like a wrestler type. He's too skinny.
You could be a good wrestler.
You don't think that there's rooster and featherweight divisions?
Oh well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Bro, I used to beat up my friends who wrestled in high school, and I'm skinny as hell. That don't say nothing about the skinny ones.
No. You're right. You're right. I'm always talking about more.
Anyways,
right. I wanted to. That was the next point that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I wanted to talk now. That was the last point. I think there's nothing else really to talk about. The coaching, quarterbacks. The offense that's not there, the defense that, unfortunately didn't show up today, but the fractures. This is the first time in a long time that we've seen a game where the entire team, it just seemed like, they gave up. It's hard to say that the offense gave up because, they kind of look the same as they always have, but the defense, they just look kind of defeated, do you recall any time as a Jets fan that you're like, man, you can visibly see on screen that these guys are done, fights breaking out on the field, fights breaking out on the hall after the game. We've got reports that after the game in the tunnel, there was another skirmish, I guess, between Jets and Bills players, with it ending with someone from the Bills yelling out, "And we beat your ass," which they did, I guess, in game, and maybe in that hall as well. But do you recall, either of you guys recall a time where you've seen something like this? I mean, it just made it uglier. It was already ugly, and they just made it even uglier by putting all of this stuff into the game.
No. Let me, if I may, let the young one go first, and then I'll let the elder tell us about the tales of Jets teams past. In my younger day, still being 43 years old, I haven't really seen that shit before because we've never had this much potential and still been this bad. When we're bad, we're bad. We've had some potential and been okay. We've been good when we haven't been expected to be good a couple of times. So during some of the Mark Sanchez years and things like that, making the playoffs. But I've never seen the team go at each other like this before. You've had your instances where it's happened before, but it was more like a caricature, like a Keyshawn Johnson, get me the damn ball. And now that's like a funny phrase that he says these days, right? It wasn't really this serious, for lack of a better way to put it. I've never seen the team fracture in this way. And just to make a quick comment, on essentially whether the team is lost or not, we can get into that. I think this is Salah's last chance to not lose the team entirely and end up being a coach somewhere else next season. Because if you can't fix this, it's fucking over for him too. No matter how good of a defensive coach he is, I think he's an incredible defensive coach. I think you can do things if you can get an OC. But yeah, I've not seen this. Walt?
Just before you go, Walt, just real quick. This is one thing a point that I wanted to make earlier. You see in the same exact week that the Giants say, hey, even though we're 2-8, it doesn't feel like we're 2-8. We're still happy. We're still playing with joy. We're having fun out there. We're practicing hard every day. It's the same week that they have the players meeting. And then this is the performance right after that players meeting. This is why I say that I feel like the locker room is lost from that perspective. Hey, stop. Leave the mic alone.
So I'll tell you this: I don't think that locker room is lost yet.
It's about there.
In terms of past years, yes, I've suffered through the Joe Walton era. I've suffered through the Al Gore era. We've been 1-15. I don't remember ever a time where you had players actively calling other players out of their different units, like offense versus defense. I think the closest may have been like Rex Ryan. At one point, Rex was saying, the defense is playing well, the offense needs to kind of kick in, but never publicly. And we still haven't gotten that yet. But I will say this. You had the Sauce Gardner suplex, which is out of character for him, right? That's not something that, and he had another incident on the field also right after that. You had Michael Clemens going after Dawkins, which was the guys that started the brawl in the hallway
in the tunnel.
Right.
Deion Dawkins.
It was that. You have Quinnen Williams actively berating or having, well, you know what? Let's not say berating because we don't know what was said.
Yeah,
it's animated.
A very animated conversation with Michael Clemens as well. And Michael Clemens is a heated guy. He's a very scary dude. And you had Quinnen Williams kind of having that conversation with him. After the game, Michael Clemens walks out of the locker room, doesn't say anything, sees the reporters coming and books the other way. This is what I will say about this locker room right now. I still don't think that Saleh has lost the locker room because there's a lot of young kids on this team, and he has kind of the beat and pulse of this team. Now, if there's one thing that Saleh does and does well, is that he understands his players and he understands how to motivate these players and he understands how to talk to these players. That being said,
I don't know about motivate.
I don't know, man.
Well,
I don't know.
But
Yeah.
Listen, there are things that are going on that goes beyond motivation here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But to hear Quinnen Williams after the game have someone ask him what Saleh said in his speech, and him saying, "I don't know because I was in the restroom," that's a big red flag for me, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing here that worries me about this team, and it's not so much about the fracture, but it's about the culture, right? You have a lot of young players on this team, and those young players, what do they know about being a Jet is losing. You had a 7-10 win season last year. You have what's going on. They're 4-6 this year. May not be better than last year. These kids come from winning programs. Garrett Wilson came from Ohio State. You had Quinnen Williams. I think he came from Alabama. They know what winning looks like. But when you're young and you start stacking these type of losses, it gets to the point where it's like, this is all you know on this level. And you kind of surrender to that. And that's the biggest fear that you're going to have with the Jets going forward, because you're looking at these young kids. Listen, you don't worry about CJ Mosley, right? Because he's a vet. He came from a winning program. You don't worry about guys like, like Carl Lawson, you know what I'm saying? These guys are vets. They know how to handle this stuff. It's the young kids that don't. And so you're looking at a point here where it's like, maybe now you're in full accepting of losing mode,
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
That's
the problem with this team.
So I think that I don't think so maybe saying that Robert Saleh has lost the locker room is not it. Maybe it's that he never had them. In my opinion, I think that these players play for. See, this is the thing, and this is a hot take. Maybe it's a hot take, but I actually think that
unless you have some of the locker room, I think.
Well, the thing is that I think that these players, they are motivated by the rest of their team. Like, I think the defense is more motivated and plays more for each other than they do for their commander, which would be Robert Saleh. I think, and that, to me, the reason I say that is because this goes back to last year when you're hearing stuff from the locker room that, even when you guys are winning, you're hearing chirping from I forget who it was that you guys ended up trading.
Elijah Moore
And stuff like that.
right?
And then when Michael Carter got traded, you hear people, even though Anaconda's getting the interview, that comment that we all know, somebody in the locker room yelled out, shout out Michael Carter and stuff like that, which is the kind of thing that a coach controls. If you cut somebody that is beloved, as a coach, would be like, look, we all love them, we all like them and stuff like that. But let's make sure that we're supporting Anaconda. Let's make sure that we're doing everything to make him feel wanted and him feel ready. That's what a coach is going to do. It's going to prepare the locker room. And I can almost guarantee you that Saleh probably didn't do at least enough in order to keep these kind of thoughts and keep these kind of comments and keep some of the actions that we see out there to the locker room, I guess. But anyway, it's a hot take. I get it. But I feel like maybe he just never really had them. And that's why we've been seeing this stuff now 2 years in a row. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I think that there's not really much else to kind of dissect. You guys had a terrible offense. QB is, you guys have a huge question mark at the QB position, but I don't know that it's who's going to play. I think it's who are you guys going to get at some point after Rodgers, probably, and maybe even in this draft. And I'm looking at your schedule.
They have to. They have to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at your schedule, and it's not terrible. You guys actually still technically have a chance. Not even just a chance. You guys look. If you guys beat the Falcons, if you guys can somehow beat the Texans, because CJ's been looking amazing. You guys beat the Commanders, the Browns, the Patriots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You guys go get. You guys win those games, and somehow get lucky against the Dolphins, and you guys are in. Or if the Bills,
how do we do that after this?
Would win any of those games though?
What the hell do you change to even win any of those games?
Right.
Changing the quarterback. I don't believe.
I think that you sit Zach Wilson out and you just shuffle between Simeon and boy. I would have liked to have seen Simeon as well because he has more veteran experience. His numbers are not that terrible for a backup. And again, I think that if you can have, again, not this defense that played today, but if you have the defense that we all have learned to love this season play, you just need a game manager. You just need somebody that can manage the game, get yourself within range, and put yourselves in position to win the game. And the defense will do the rest. But the defense needs to know, or at least feel like there's something to fight for. And that is the issue.
I wish I could believe in that, but.
Yeah,
I mean, even this week when they made small changes, okay, Ruckert got the ball and he did well. They better fucking keep him on the field. I don't want to see him leave that field. He had 3 catches this week, which is better than probably any week that Uzomah has had this year. But it's just the continuous mistakes because so we're actually getting something out of a small sample size out of Dalvin Cook the last couple of weeks, where he's getting something, getting some push, getting 8, 7, 9-yard runs. We've ran him 4 times. It's not like we ran Izzy. It's not like we ran anybody else. It's just the things that they supposedly should do that are the simplest possible fixes. Even those get fucked up by this offense right now. So I don't know how I mean, like I said, we've gone over this ad nauseum at this point. I just don't see what the hell you can do that's going to make a difference on that. Like I said, spamming 4 verticals. We've said it all. I don't know. But we're going to see next week no matter what because I don't think Zach's going to be the starter. I don't know if it's going to be Boyle or I don't know if it's going to be Simeon. But it's not going to be him.
Here's one person that hasn't gotten enough criticism, and that's Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas.
For not doing the right thing.
He hasn't done because you know what? He refused to get a decent backup quarterback. He chose Tim Boyle, right? 4 plays into that first game, when Aaron Rodgers got hurt, he should have been on the phone trying to find another quarterback. There were plenty available that you could have gotten him for cheap. Instead, they punted on that and said, you know what? Zach's our guy. And, there's a point where you got guys that are so they can't admit that they were wrong. And I'm starting to think that this is Joe Douglas. Can't admit that he had a wrong pick in Zach Wilson with that second pick in the draft, right?
Yeah.
They didn't go after any wide receivers after seeing Lazard was not playing. I mean, you signed him to that big contract up until this point. I think he only has 20 catches on the season. You know what I'm saying? So I think you're looking
He
at
had one target tonight.
yeah, you're looking at Joe
Thankfully.
Douglas. Joe Douglas hasn't gotten any accountability here. You know what I'm saying?
I,
And there has to be some. And let me tell you something. I'm gonna say this one time and one time only. I really don't give a shit whether you piss Aaron Rodgers off. That first pick in this upcoming draft, whatever it is, has to be a quarterback because you're
I
never
agree.
gonna
I
get
agree on
you're
that.
never gonna get the ability to get this high because conceivably you're thinking Aaron Rodgers is gonna play next year. So most likely your record is gonna be better than not, right? This is the opportunity to get something. It's clear that Zach is not the answer. You have to go get a quarterback in the first round this year.
Trade for Devontae Adams. Apparently, that's the rumbling.
Hey, that's the only issue, though, right? If you trade for Devontae Adams, what you're trading, you're gonna trade your picks for Devontae Adams.
Here, you know what I'm saying?
You know, so if you trade for Devontae Adams, you better win a Super Bowl next year because you're gonna get rid of the picks that you would probably need in order to get a decent quarterback that you're gonna need to like study under Aaron Rodgers. I think, and this is kind of why I said last week that I think you guys are in a worse situation because this is a situation that you guys are going to be in. You guys need a new quarterback, which means that it's probably not going to be Zach because either you win Super Bowl next year or you guys are, going to be in a terrible rebuild mode afterwards. I mean, I think that you guys are going to be rebuilding anyway. I think next year is probably going to be the only year that you guys have a shot for a Super Bowl right before you start another rebuild, which sucks, to be honest. But just a final point. I mean, I want to kind of respond to what you said. It's hard for me to justify necessarily Joe Douglas getting criticism. I think he does get criticism, but I don't know that it's too unfair. Yeah, he should have gotten a quarterback, but this is kind of hindsight if you think about it, because it's like you get Aaron Rodgers. He did everything that you guys wanted. Hold on.
Not when Aaron Rodgers got injured. Yeah.
He got injured.
Hear me out. Okay. He got Aaron Rodgers. He had the draft. He got all these players, the whole nine, right? And then he gets injured, and then Zach wins the game. Okay. And then in all the subsequent games, he's the lady in the red dress. He shows you enough to be like, this is the guy, and he's going to learn from Aaron Rodgers and this, that, and the other. I can see, why Joe Douglas didn't. Even though, in hindsight, you should have, especially because, again, like, I don't even think that anybody really thought that Dobbs was going to go for a 6th-round pick. It's only after the fact we find out, wait a minute, that's all he was worth? I'm pretty sure Joe Douglas was probably like, why didn't you guys call us or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that
why did he
should
call
do his
them?
due diligence.
Yes,
yeah, he should do his due diligence, of course. But what I'm saying is that I think that he definitely fumbled in a few things, but he's given you guys everything that you guys wanted,
except for an offense.
Exactly.
Except for an offense, we need an offense.
It wasn't like nobody was.
Yes.
Was
I'm saying
about getting
again after the fact, but like in the beginning, you guys.
No. Everybody was screaming during preseason.
Yeah.
Why is Zach our backup? Why aren't we getting a true backup? And after Aaron Rodgers got hurt, everybody was screaming.
Yes, but we know why.
We're gonna get that.
Aaron Rodgers is telling you guys he's the one backing Zach. It was Aaron Rodgers that's going to bat for Zach. Hold on. You don't think that Aaron Rodgers is going to bat for Zach to Joe Douglas?
That's fine, but you know what? That doesn't stop you from getting a proper quarterback. You can still play Zach.
But, Joe Douglas is deferring. Like, this is Aaron Rodgers. It's not just he's not just some consultant. It's Aaron Rodgers. Everybody's deferring to him.
Here's why I can't get on board with that, because look, I've been a so-called Zach truther for the last few weeks. I've been the one that's saying, like, you can't really bench this kid at this point because if you do, his career is over and you don't have any other options. And even I was screaming after the first game, like, where's the fucking backup? Where's a quarterback? And that's why I stick by him, because the Jets didn't do anything to give me confidence in anybody else. So I'm like, you might as well just stick with this kid and see if we got anything with him last season. That's it. And after this, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, or if you lose anyway. If you lose with Zach, the season's over. You're going to Aaron Rodgers next year, and that's that. If you win with Zach, guess what? You get lucky. But if they didn't make any moves, they didn't address the wide receivers. They didn't address anything. I think they signed one offensive lineman, maybe one. maybe 2. Not even. I think they signed 1 offensive lineman to the practice squad. So they didn't do anything.
There was a whole bunch of guys.
I understand. I'm saying, okay, Joe Douglas didn't adjust.
He definitely did not. Maybe that's his weakness. I think he's fantastic at drafting most positions. Yeah, I just don't think quarterback is one of them. And I don't think he's actually made, if you look at his track record, he hasn't made any fantastic trades or picked up any really great free agents other than Aaron Rodgers. Who else has he picked up in free agency that's really like done anything of impact? He's maybe a couple of defensive players, right?
He's done a really good job with the UDFAs, with the undrafted free agents. He's done a really good job with that. So we do have to give him credit for that, because you got guys like Tony Adams, you got guys like Xavier Gibson. You got guys, up Bryce Huff is a perfect example of a UDFA that nobody took a chance on. So he's got an eye for talent.
He knows defense, I guess.
He's lousy with quarterbacks, but
he also drafted Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. So
there's that. He got Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. So I think Walt was stuck with a little bit of duck face.
Walt had a reboot moment there,
but at least he didn't leave us. All right, so I think that we've kind of beat this horse dead, and we have been beating this horse dead all season long, and we will probably continue to beat this horse dead because there's nothing else to talk about except for wallowing in this misery. So anybody that has stayed on for this show, wallowing in the misery that has been the Jets debacle, I don't think anybody thought at all that this season would go the way that it has. But thank you guys for sticking with us. Yeah. Don't forget, once again, don't forget to like, rate, share, and subscribe if you haven't yet. And hit that notify button as well. Hit us with some comments too. We'd love to kind of engage with you guys on social media, good, bad, or ugly. It doesn't matter. It's all fun. Please hit us up. Comment on any of our takes. Fight us. I want to fight you too. Why not? Because there's nothing better to do in this New York football season, it seems like. So
want to fight about it.
Yeah. So until next week, which you guys have the Dolphins on Friday, on Black Friday. You guys are going to be on super prime time, the very first Black Friday game. And it was supposed to be Aaron versus Tua, but now it's Tua versus TBD. Because you don't even know who's going to be the quarterback for Friday.
TS or TB.
Maybe. And then we got the Patriots on Sunday, and we're energized going against another bad Patriots team, and they're coming into our home. So, I think that we might be able to rack up finally at least a 2-game winning streak. So it looks like, I hope so.
Probably throw up a couple
maybe Belichick will throw us a layup since he likes the Maras and the Giants so much.
Was Bailey Zapp going to be their quarterback this week again, y'all think? I guess who knows? No idea. They benched Mac Jones for the third time this season.
These are all guys that need a change of scenery,
Let's get Mac Jones on the Jets.
Oh, please.
I'm going to shut up.
Anyway, guys, thank you guys. Until next time. And until then, go Giants.
And go Jets.
Yeah, whatever.
Touchdown.
Yeah. Hey.
Good talk, guys.
I finally get to see a touchdown. I'm in the bathroom and whatnot when it happens, right?
I know, right?
Jesus Christ.
That's terrible. Yeah.
Whatever. Later.
Anyway, peace out.
Laters.